changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes every. You turn my morning into dancing. You turn my morning into dance. You turn my morning into dancing. You turn my morning into dancing. 'Cause your love changes everything. Your love changes everything. You turn my morning into dancing. You turn my morning into dancing. You turn my morning into dancing. 'Cause your love changes everything. Your love changes everything. Oh, there's something about your love, something about your love changes everything in my body. Oh, something about your love, something about your love changes everything. It changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything. It changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything. You turn my morning into dancing. 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 Something about your love, something about your love changes everything.
Hey. Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. What's a beautiful day outside. Thank you so much for popping in here. Like always, let me know that you can hear me and see me. I want to actually turn this a little bit so I'm in the center. There we go. So while you're making those comments, I am going to say hi to some folk. It's Living Scent, y'all. We're talking about Living Scent. Good morning, Chuck B. King Gooch, Dr. Colleen, Connie, Steve. Good morning, sir. Christy Bipes down in Greendale, Steve Giroux, and Chuck is saying you're good. Thank you, sir. All right, good. Happy Friday. All right, so we're Living Scent, but today it's story day, right? It's story time. I would talk to you about what happened on Wednesday. Praise to him is on here. Good morning, faithful ones. So yeah, so Wednesday, we're over Gigi and Papa's house. We lost power and all that stuff, but and Reese, my son, my oldest son, he just turned 7. Is like, I'm going off the high dive today, you know. And so on Gigi and Papa's lake, there's like this high dive. It's probably 12 feet in the air, right? It's pretty high up there. Um, and my son was like, I'm jumping off today, you know. And he actually he did it when he was like 4. He jumped off the high dive when he was like 4. But he hasn't done it since. And so he's like, today's the day I'm going to do it, you know? And so he climbs on up, you know, Papa's with him, Pastor Tom's with him. And he gets to the edge and like just freezes, right? And he's just like, I can't do it, you know? And I'm down there in the water, you know, treading water. Like, you got to do it because I don't know how long I can tread, you know? But like, it's like 30 minutes. He's up there. And he's just like, I can't do it, you know. And I just go full out, you know, motivational speaker, like, feel the fear, do it anyway, you know. Like, I'm down there going in. But uh eventually he does. He like jumps off, and he it's a blast. He's like, I got to do it again. He like goes back up and does it again. But you know, we're on the boat. We're on our way back, you know, to the house, and he was like, man, there was like this force field. Like when I was up there, like it literally felt like there was just like this force field that I couldn't step through, you know, like this, it was literally like holding me. Like I couldn't move past this force field, you know. And I just started, or you know, what I told him was like, but you did it, right? You did. You stepped through it. You did it. And I felt like, man, I have to talk about that today because all of us, like every single person connected to the stream, has felt that sometime or the other, especially when it comes to evangelism, right? Like you know, we've been talking about how we disqualify ourselves, you know, for this reason or that reason, but like we do, like sometimes, like you get out there and you know that God has highlighted this person to you, but there's this force field, right? There's just like, I can't, oh, I want to, but I don't, and, you know, and he's up there and he's just like, or we're telling him like, man, you've done this before, you know, like you got your life jacket on. What could possibly, you know, happen? He's just, I don't know why I'm afraid. I don't know, you know, what I think will happen. Like I don't, there's nothing that I should be afraid of, but I'm afraid I can't do it, you know? And that's the same thing. It's just like, why am I not talking to this person? What am I afraid of? I might not even be able to name it. I just know there's this force field. I can't move. It seems like I can't move past it. And yeah, I was gonna, like, I was trying to think like, all right, man, let me think of like some example of like when this has happened to me. And I know that there's hundreds of times, right? Like I'm always like nervous every single time I go out to evangelize, but I literally couldn't think. Bert and Karen jumped on here. Good morning, guys. They're like, my brain just went blank. Where like I can't think of any example that, you know, about me like feeling the fear and doing it anyway when it comes to evangelism. And I'm sure as soon as I hit like end on this stream, like they're all gonna come back. But what I do remember, I remember this time when I, after my first freshman year in college, where my best friend had passed away, um, where I felt this fear. And this is like this BC life, right? Before Christ. And I remember, so, okay, little backstory. This was my best friend, right? Like, so uh, high school was the first time I ever, um, I went to school, right? So I was homeschooled all the way up until high school. And so getting in high school, like everybody else had their cliques and they were, um, and so it was just kind of like me and Joel, right? Because Joel had just moved into the town, so he didn't have any like other friends, and he was a little nerdy, and so was I. So, but we both played football. He was a year ahead of me, but we just clicked right away. And so for 4 years, like he was my best friend. And then when I went away to college. Not too far. It is still in Michigan, but I went away to college, and like that first week when I'm away, there was this huge fight. In reality, it was over something stupid, but this huge fight blows out, and like we completely like cut each other off. Right? It was over, a girl, right? And we both said some super harsh things to each other, and it was just like, boom, we're done. Like, um, and yeah, like we didn't speak, we didn't speak again, and all year goes by, and I'm thinking like, man, when I got to go home this summer, I'm gonna make it up to my boy, and we're gonna reconcile, and like the night that I was coming home, he has this like fatal accident, motorcycle accident, and he ends up passing away. Um, and I remember pulling up to his driveway um, that night, or it was the next night, and just sitting thinking, man, everybody in this house probably hates me, like, and I'm thinking his dad, like he probably told his dad like all these, all the things that I said about him, and like I just felt like disqualified, like I felt like I didn't deserve to be in there, right? Like I felt shame and all those things, right? You feel, um, and then so I just sat in his driveway for about 20 minutes, and I just remember, like, I gotta do it. I just gotta go. I just gotta go in. If I get kicked out, I get kicked out. And I remember going in. As soon as I opened up the door, um, Joe's dad comes and like just embraces me. And like I just remember like that was so there was so much healing in that hug, you know? And like I almost disqualified myself from it. And I'm almost like just like, nope, I don't deserve this. I don't, I was a horrible friend, whatever. And I almost drove away. But because I pressed through it, like I stayed there, I was able to get like some healing. And I was just thinking, like, there's in evangelism, this happens all the time where it's just like, not only like, yeah, there's somebody that's hurting. There's somebody who is like at the end of themselves, you know, and then God puts them in front of us, and it's just like we feel this wall and this fear, like, and we try to disqualify ourselves. I don't have the right words. I'm not, I can't think of whatever. Or like we think like, man, I'm just a wretched sinner, as well. Like I'm disqualified. I feel this shame, and like for the sake of them, man, like we should step out, right? Like they could literally be at the end of themselves. They could be that person in that driveway. They could be that person that's on that ledge up there. And then just like all we need to do, if they won't, go through that force field to go to a church or whatever, they might not even know about it, right? As evangelists, as men and women who are surrendered life with Christ, like we can literally step through that force field and say, like, God, I know I don't know everything. And so I need you, right? But I know that you're highlighting this person to me for a reason. And so I'm gonna step out. I'm gonna do this thing that's uncomfortable, that I don't feel like I'm qualified for, that's way beyond my wisdom and strength. And Holy Spirit, you have to take control, right? And we can be like Reese and literally step off the ledge and jump, and allow Holy Spirit to come, right? Because we know, and then we realize, like, this is amazing. This is what I was created for. This is what literally I was created for, right? Like every single time, like I go out and evangelize, like there's that feeling of like, man, like I was born for this moment, right? Like, I remember a time at, the Maya right across the street here, from the church, where it was me and a buddy named Rob, and we go, and there was this guy just pushing the carts, like he's just at work pushing carts back in, and I was like, hey man, uh, we felt like God told us to come to this Meyer. Is there anything we can pray for you about? And he's just like, that is so crazy that you're talking to me, right? He's like, I was literally just, praying, like, God, I need somebody, I need help, right? And it's just like, like God, like if we wouldn't have like talked to this guy, if we wouldn't have like just made that opportunity, or said that thing, like who knows, would God probably would have sent somebody else. But it was just like one of those moments where it's just like, that you're at the exact place at the right time, like that you're on mission from the Lord. And all of us are on mission from the Lord, like there are good works for all of us that he preordained us to walk in. And we just have to walk through that force field. We got to step through the fear. We all feel it, but you gotta press through it. You gotta go through it, because there's healing on the other side, for you, for them, and we've been given a ministry of reconciliation, right? 2 Corinthians 5:17 through 18 talks about how we're new creations and old things have passed away. Behold, all things have been made new. And it talks about how Jesus was given the ministry of reconciliation, and he literally passes the torch to you. He passes the torch, the baton, to you, to me. We are agents of reconciliation, reconciling hearts back to an all-loving God. And so when we step out, we start fulfilling the ministry that's been entrusted to us, and we become just good stewards over what God put in our hands. And so that's it, y'all. Hope this was an encouragement to you, and a blessing. Yeah. Thank you, Jody. That's it, y'all. We'll be back here for some prayer at 9. So until then, peace.